Hello there everybody and welcome to today's video. Beaulo has announced he's retiring from competitive Rainbow Six Siege, so I thought I would take this opportunity to look at his very final competitive game and discuss his impact overall in the community. If you want to watch his announcement video, I will link it down below, but without further ado, let's jump in. Here we are then inside of the demo. TSM taking on Space Station Gaming. This is the final map in the best of 3 closed qualifier for Six Invitational 2023. And spoiler alert, unfortunately TSM do fall short in this game. So Beaulo doesn't exactly finish on the most positive of notes, but I think it really does encapsulate perhaps the year that TSM did have after winning the previous Six Invitational. TSM have been struggling, or definitely did struggle throughout the year. Did manage to win stage 3, but it was a bit of a case of too little too late for the team. And everyone seemed to have their ups and downs. Beaulo, no exception. So we'll see how he goes in this game. But of course, this is an opportunity to have a wider discussion about Beaulo and his origin story and the impact that he'll leave on the community after announcing his retirement. He's actually been playing competitive Siege for a decent amount of time now, despite still being so young. I believe he's 21 years of age. So even by esports terms, that is very, very young. Just holding down piano at the moment. We'll continue that discussion in a bit. Playing the Wamai role here, trying to lock down the window. Probably won't want to re-peek that. Shield offering good protection. A pretty default shield at this point, but has been cleared by Space Station Gaming, exposing him to this line of sight. Now, I think this mirror window actually is standing, so this is just a replay file bug, which can happen. As SSG continue to push forward. Beaulo can lock down this position. Nice kill there onto Rampy. And overall, actually, a pretty clean first round from TSM, yet he just left on an island still outside the window. So, a pretty good start. Keeping in mind, TSM actually lost their initial map pick of Bank 0-7. So, they've been trying to come back for the entirety of this series, and not a bad way to kick things off. In terms of Beaulo, though, specifically, probably most well known for his content, I would say, at this point. Although, that can definitely be argued. He will leave a lasting impact in the competitive community as well, of course. But it can't be denied that his origins do lay in content. His most famous video, the Spawn Peaking 1v5, 4.3 million views over 5 years ago now. And that wasn't a one-off. Everyone has seen a Beaulo video, a Beaulo clip, whether you've intended to or not. He just permeated the entire community. And there was a lot of discussion about whether or not he'd be able to make it as a pro player, whether or not his flashy mechanics and his raw skill would be enough. Would he be able to pick up on the other nuances in competitive Siege? Obviously, with hindsight, we know that he did. There's also discussions back in the day whether or not he was actually a legit player, as every good Siege player has faced. That was definitely a saga. And for Beaulo, it really was a waiting game until he was able to turn 18 and play the pro circuit. Jumped across multiple amateur teams. Hold that thought though, as he is busy over towards Library Stairs this round, and unfortunately for him, Hot and Cold will take his head off. So we got one in the round, and TSM will be looking to trade this out. Probably not the best of positions though. They actually get back to a 1v2. Gasher holding down below with the mirror. So has a deployable shield to play off as well in Wine. Play line of sight to Library Stairs. I guess it's winnable.
15 seconds to go.
SSG leaving the push quite late, but they do have info.
5 seconds left.
Cross being held. Nitro doesn't land. Now needs to stick. Will he find the head? Oh, he will. Okay. Well played, Gasher.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they bomb located by attackers. 10 seconds left before insertion. 5 seconds left before insertion. Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
After playing for at least half a dozen or so amateur teams, Beaulo finally did sign with TSM in mid-2019 once he had turned 18 and was able to play. And TSM actually did have a decent breakout, winning DreamHack Montreal. That really put the team on the map and proved that Beaulo in a competitive environment was certainly viable. Not that there were that many doubters really, but it was all about just putting those pieces together and for him to gain enough experience at that sort of level. Just holding the balcony at the moment, the mezzanine. Repositioning to library. Very difficult to sometimes spot players through these glass panels, especially when they're shot out. So I like this. And you can see, I don't think even he saw the player on library belt. Still wins the one. So again, much like the last round, Beaulo able to win a trade, which is pretty much all you can ask for, especially on a game of Chalet. In terms of Beaulo's achievements, I'll rattle them off. MVP, DreamHack Montreal, so not a bad way to kick things off. EVP for SA 20, 21, and 22. So always having a consistently strong impact internationally, even when maybe the team hasn't been performing amazingly well, which is always impressive. And also EVP for the NA 20 Major, which was a pretty strong year for TSM as well. So again, Beaulo just individually such an impactful player. And when he had the support network around him and a strong team in TSM, he really did shine. Round 4 now, and Beaulo actually playing a pretty similar position, holding down piano. I actually quite like this mirror strat. It allows you to have that buffer. You can fall back a little bit and not get stuck inside of piano once the shield falls. Almost gets caught out there. Able to escape. Lines of sight bedroom, so he needs to be mindful of the swing. Pops one. That's kit down. Noses one on the window. Doesn't win out that fight though. Hot and cold going 7-1. Probably a discussion point for another day. Hot and cold is insane, but Beaulo's just been chipping away in this game. He's been fighting really hard and he has been finding at least a kill around, so not too bad. Beaulo has a total of 286 maps recorded on Siege GG. So quite the wealth of experience, and actually finished up with a 1.1 rating, which is pretty solid for that number of maps and some of the ups and downs that he and his team's experienced over those years. 65% cost, so pretty impactful. 43 clutches. They're quite reliable on the late round as well. Just roaming on the Oryx again here for round 5. As TSM 3-1 up. Chalet defense. Not too shabby, actually. You'd be pretty happy with that kind of scoreline at this point of the match. SSG, certainly no pushovers. A very, very strong roster at the moment. Yeti, hot and cold. Then you have the experience of Rampy, Fultz, Bosco. I mean, that is a scary lineup. We'll see how Beaulo goes about trying to keep himself in this game. Keeping in mind he has been finding kills. Spots one West main. Can use the Oryx to rotate. SSG flooding down below. And actually gets caught off there. So really good game sense there from Fultz. SSG floods sight. Maybe that's the turning point in this game a little bit for SSG. I think on reflection, one of the things that people probably haven't talked too much about, I'm not too sure, but I think the fact Beaulo has been able to be such an impactful player and still rely largely on mechanical gap to other players, even with the amount of changes to the game in terms of lean speed, crouch speed, all that being changed, is very, very impressive, because there's been a lot of players that probably had a similar playstyle to Beaulo that weren't able to keep up with the meta. But he still has just been such a strong performer, which I think is one of the things people will really look back on and be impressed by. especially if the pacing of the game and the mechanics of the game continue to be slowed over time. You see, again, me tasked with holding a pretty important, powerful position here on Mez. This is a position that Beaulo has played pretty much since the rework, and one that he's been good on. So very experienced. Not overexposing. There is a player upside down on library repel, so this is not a favorable angle for him if he does decide to swing wide. Minute to go, so SSG will need to start to get a wriggle on. You can see the multitasking from Beaulo really good. Really aware of what's going on. Constantly checking angles. He's got front door to mind. He's got drones to watch for. Push up main stairs as well. Does get timed a little bit on that though. 2v3. Upside down rappel. So yeah, probably just feeling a little bit too much pressure there. Felt the need to probably retake library. Gets caught off on the upside down. So a little bit unfortunate there for Beaulo. Last couple of rounds not quite going his way. The other thing that people will talk about is Beaulo's achievements over his competitive career. Actually playing Glaz this round, so keep that in mind. Oh no, he died. I'll have to end my point a little bit early there. Probably could have found that pick. Was it actually a down on the trade?
Many bombs as they can.
I don't think it was.
The location of a bomb. 10 seconds left. 5 seconds. Attackers
No,
are heading
did
out
land a
to
bullet,
defuse
but
the bomb.
not enough for the
Defender
trade.
exposed.
As I was going to mention, Beaulo's achievements. First DreamHack Montreal, third SI 20, first NA Major 2020, first NAL Finals 2021, fourth at Six Invitational 2021, and then winning in 2022. So he is a world champion, and then finishing first in the third stage of this year's NAL despite a tumultuous season. So some pretty notable dubs there on the board for Beaulo and his respective team. So he's going to definitely leave a legacy in that regard. 4-3 though, the scoreline in this game. So definitely very competitive, keeping in mind that this was for a spot at Six Invitational.
Located by attackers.
I can only assume Beaulo would have obviously played at the event had they qualified, but must have made the predetermined decision that he was going to retire if they didn't qualify. And all power to him. Obviously his content creation game is very strong. He'll be fine living off that, and it's a completely different ball game in terms of the time commitment and the stress and everything associated with competitive play. Obviously content creation isn't easy either, but doing both at the same time is quite the juggling act. The amount of time commitment to play competitive Siege is insane. Add on top of that the streaming and the other content commitments, and you can see how it does stack up. Beaulo this time doesn't have information on library, so it's been a rough one for Beaulo. Unfortunately, the last few rounds, if he has entered unfavorable engagements, has paid the price. SSG are the kind of team that will punish those kinds of mistakes. Round 9, let's see if Beaulo can get himself back into this game. From this kind of position, it only takes one play for Beaulo to re-find maybe that confidence and for the team to step up to that next level that they need to try and find here, because SSG are gaining that momentum. He's playing patiently at the moment, looking for an entry through games. Holding the rotation to the staircase. So not playing a particularly active role with the Inox scanner, but it's probably okay. It looks like SSG are on site regardless. Very passive this round. Very, very passive. And this is a stark contrast to what you would see from Beaulo in ranked games, and definitely the Beaulo of past, where he's just sprinting in Ash ACOG. But that's the adjustment that he needed to make heading into competitive, because you don't get away with that at the highest level. So I think he's trying to set up for a lurky down the stairs late round and form a pinch blue. 30 seconds. Doesn't know that close by is occupied, I don't think. Does now though. Needs to be mindful of the shotgun. TSM though have the man advantage, so he can look to just corral this player away, but loses the fight. Jeez. This has been a frustrating couple of rounds for Beaulo. Faults now can retake up above. We'll see how much of an impact this has. I really like this play.
seconds left.
Does rely a little bit on good timing though. So we'll see. Might have had to play a library stairs. Makes sound. Still gets the kill.
Attackers are activating the diffuser.
2v2 posts here for TSM. They retake up above.
Defenders have located the diffuser.
Can watch the staircase. Okay, I don't mind these post plant positions. Question is though, can they actually watch the diffuser? I don't think they can. And Yeti can stick.
Disable the bomb.
Yeah, so TSM anticipating re-aggression there from SSG. SSG just said, we're not going to feed you. Get on the kit, play it pretty well. And unfortunately, yeah, Beaulo is just really, really struggling to get himself in this game. I don't think it really needs to be said, but obviously, regardless of this single map result or any singular map result anywhere, pretty hard to deny that Beaulo is one of the best players of all time. Certainly a discussion to be had if he is the best of all time. I would probably say not. In my opinion, probably needed a couple more international achievements to enter that discussion with the likes of Pengu, for example. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Maybe you think he is the best player of all time. And maybe it's not that far of a stretch. 3v5 in this round though, so it's starting to slip away here for TSM. SSG on the precipice of a match point, and Beaulo is just struggling to crack into these rounds. 3-stack from TSM trying to trade out ground. That's a nice shot. That's the kind of Beaulo we like to see. That's clean. Continues to push through. Pinch to Solar, but SSG fall off. Has a final Inox scan remaining. Can open the hatch with shotgun. That's what he does. There is info on site. At least one drone, and I think there's another drone trophy. So, not the worst of positions here for TSM if they play it right. But obviously going to be really tricky. It is relying on a player finding 2 kills untraded, really. And the rest of the team can try and flood site. Doesn't have a scan left. Smoke gets caught, so this smoke to try and cover the west main angle. I like that, but Kitchen can still spot them. Also got to be careful of Warden in the hands of Hot and Cold. Going 12 on 5. TSM just trying to flush out as many angles as they possibly can. Player in Kitchen doesn't shoot him. May have given a call, I don't know. Beaulo pushes through, gets the kill. Oh, almost gets a second there on Hot and Cold. But unfortunately, Rampy retakes up above once again on the lurk, and SSG now on match point. We enter the final 2 minutes then of this match and of Beaulo's competitive career. And it's pretty crazy to even be saying that. And he's so young. Only played for a few years, but it can't be denied that he had a big impact and will continue to do so in the content space if he sticks around with Siege, and hopefully he does. He will always be a world champion. No one can take that away from him. A fantastic performance at that year's 6 Invitational. And despite many ups and downs, especially throughout 2022, I think his legacy will be a very strong one. TSM do get the first pick in this round, so we'll see how they play off it. Beaulo Twitch F2. I mean, iconic. Absolutely iconic. It's either F2 or it's R4C ACOG. Synonymous with Beaulo.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Playing a huge information role. SSG retaking up library stairs. SSG's retakes of ground and map control in this game has been very impressive. And it can be difficult to shut that down as an attack. And Beaulo gets caught off by Bosco. We'll rewind, we'll watch it back from his POV. And unfortunately, a little bit of an anticlimactic finish to this replay file, but it really was the case for TSM, just petering out a little bit this year. 30 seconds remain in this match. We'll let it roll out. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate your support. Let me know your favorite Beaulo moment perhaps in the comments.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
I'm sure there's plenty to be shared. 2v4.
Seconds to go.
It's not looking good. And there it is, the match completes. Space Station Gaming qualifying for 6 Invitational. Beaulo concluding his competitive career. And I'll be concluding this video. I'll see you in the next one.